and welcome to Wait, It Gets Better, the Improvisational Story Telling Podcast, where every week a few friends get together with our randomly designed, and randomly designed story elements. We combine them together into a story that you can listen to, and that you'll not only listen to, but maybe enjoy. I am, of course, Levi.
I'm Reed.
And I'm Seth.
And we are here to tell you a story. What elements did you guys have?
I have government system.
I have a magic system.
I have genre. So should I go first then?
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was struggling to kind of figure out what exactly is a genre without making a without making a sort of judgment call on the setting or something like that. And I think since I just finished the Dune saga, my genre is going to be science fiction as defined by me, which is what you have to do is you have to take, in order to justify something that works in the science fiction world, you have to take something that we currently have or have the potential for now and bring it to a farther extreme. Sound good?
Awesome, because that's
great.
Perfect, because it works in perfect, I think, with my magic system.
Okay, well that's
very
it. So
concept and idea.
It's science fiction, so you take anything that's current or conceivable by humans and bring it out to its... So who's going to go next? Magic system or government type?
Well, I'll go next then.
Sounds good.
Okay, so I know I've talked about some of it with you guys in the past. I don't know how much you remember or not, or how much I had said. I know it's been a while, but part of the concept is would be kind of the idea of like chi, or like kind of chakra. Not necessarily chakra, that has to do with it a little bit. But
like Naruto.
Kind of like that, but not exactly. But kind of like, where they have ki and then they can like, but it's like that energy in their body. I think they call it ki in their, I think ki, that would be the idea.
Yeah.
However, what that has to do with is, so there, like in Tai Chi, like there's certain like breathing steps and stuff that you can do, and ultimately, from, I guess you could say, a scientific standpoint, I don't know if this is really what science says is happening, but from what I would understand, this is really what's going on. So in Tai Chi, you're like slowly breathing and directing thought with your breathing patterns and stretching. Kind of like yoga, but it's not yoga. But ultimately, so you're harnessing mental direction with body movement, which will ultimately help bring oxygenated blood by breathing properly to different parts of the body. Right. So that would, for anyone that doesn't quite know, if I'm completely wrong in this and you're a super scientist out there listening and you're like, that's not how it works, this is my basic understanding from having practiced it and feeling the effects of it, and basically trying to understand what's really going on without getting, let's say, too mystical or anything like that.
Right, for sure.
Because basically, if you breathe properly, you're going to get more oxygen into your body, and then circulation, and then with your focus and mental focus to where it's kind of focusing on getting to in your body. That's the idea of the different stretches and with the movement so anyways, that's some of the basis of how some of it works, but how it gets there is through food. So kind of like, if people are familiar with like chakras again too, I think each of them have a different color they're associated with.
Yeah.
And so in some of that sense is different. That's what I think with some like crystals and stuff, it's supposed to help amp up different parts of the chakras and things like that. However, so this is kind of where it brings into science fiction. So it's something that's like kind of real as far as we would understand it. So food is where some of the power comes from. And so by eating like different things, so everybody eats, right? So certain foods are, now this is where I'm stretching into science fiction. I mean, this could be partly true anyways, but certain foods are going to connect with either certain parts of the chakra alignments or in this case, I think more or less some of the senses or certain things. So like
Right.
if you eat a lot of, I don't know, let's say greens, I think the heart chakra is green.
That is
It'll
correct.
help, let's say, vibe with that one and like bring up certain powers that have to do with, let's say a certain sense or ability connected to that. And so it's not just like everyone has like superpowers. They have to then focus on actually channeling, let's say, the power from the particular food they ate through, through their body, through that point that connects with it to then, garner, where it connects to having, being able to speak louder or carry their voice or
Right.
draw attention or like use it to kind of like alter how someone is hearing something or, with their voice, depending on what they ate that connects with that sense, to heighten either a sense of their own on a basic level, they could channel in and then heighten their eyesight, their hearing, their speech, their smell, like their sense of touch. On a higher level, you can then channel it into like external things, like back to then your Naruto idea, certain things that will then allow like exterior force to be what is it, Rasengan, his like he makes it a little ball and he can shoot it or do other things that are exterior than that.
Right.
So
Right.
most people could easily enough, let's say, harness the basic levels of this magic, but then carrying it on even higher takes, let's say, more concentration and practice and study and how to exactly channel things to get the effect that you want. And really there's so many things that would be limitless if let's say the right food that would contain what it is. However, in using it, it'll burn it
Right.
off quickly. And
Right.
so it's only going to last so long as that, let's say, particular food that corresponds with it is, let's say, in your system. And on a regular digestive tract, what it's going to probably have, 1, 2, 3 hours probably before it gets far enough along that, I don't know, maybe about 10 hours.
Now, were you
Um,
thinking that it's like by eating green food, you mean like eating spinach, like the color green, or that there's certain foods that affect the certain chakras in different ways?
Right, it's certain foods. I'm just using
Okay.
that because I know that one of the things I came across, and I'm not going to bank on this particular part being extremely scientific. I just know that someone had made a claim that like if you eat like green foods, that's why like green leafy foods and like eating spinach and green beans and lettuce is good for your heart because it matches the heart chakra. And it's kind of like okay, that's a nice sounding idea, but
Yeah, I
or
think it's
like
kind
if
of a
you eat
chicken
like
and an egg situation. It's like if that's true, it actually happened the other way around, where you ate green things and it was good for your heart, and so then they associated it with the green chakra. So that's why it became the green chakra, is because you know what I mean? Not
yeah,
that
possibly.
not that you eat the green stuff because of the green chakra, it's the green chakra because of the green stuff.
Right. And so as far as that particular point goes, it's just something that I think someone had said, I don't know,
Yeah.
years ago I came
Yeah.
across. So I'm not making any claim that that's a real thing. I mean,
Yeah.
if it is, then because I think they were also saying that then like the colors around you affect, like the different chakras or something like that, where like I think blue was like the throat chakra. And so
Yeah.
like blue things would help you oratate or like speak better. But it's like, okay. And I understand like there's probably a real science to like color therapy
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And so there's probably some, let's say, amount of viability to some of it, but
Yeah.
as
Well,
far as
that's the
But
thing, is
anyways,
that in science fiction we say, well, there's probably some validity to it, but then take 2,000 years, say an entire colony all have the insides painted blue of their ships because that's what they could afford, and then 2,000 years later they come out really affected by blue, and therefore that's the whole science fiction thing, is that you take what could be possible and what we know on the cursory is kind of possible, and then just kind of turn it up to 11.
Well, and
Right.
of course, the whole idea of, at some point, if world without end, if life goes on, there's going to be a desire to move on and check out other places. And then there
Right.
will be the whole idea of what's involved with actually, you used the word colony, like going and settling other planets.
Right.
And there are physical realities of long space journeys and whatnot. So you go and you set up, and then you're adapting over time. You're terraforming, but you're also adapting to the climate, the minerals, the food sources, whatever it is where you've gone.
Yeah.
And some of these things could develop in really interesting and different wrinkles.
Yeah, I can kind of imagine like a whole planet
Yeah.
dedicated to making one specific type of food because it's the optimum growing planet.
Mm-hmm.
And then that entire solar system all relies on that one planet. And what does that one planet grow the most of? Chilies.
Yeah.
So it's just curry, chilies and curry.
Yeah.
So it's like that planet's main staple. Like if you're talking about being able to supply for a solar system, then you're talking about, and you want to retain a form of government, like a form of centralized power, you're talking about having to take an entire planet and turn it into a rice field.
Yeah.
An entire planet and turn it into a garden. An entire planet and turn it into a cattle farm.
Well, there's that, but then there's also the reality that it's got to be self-sustaining.
Right.
So I suppose I should interrupt with my government type, and I
let's
guess
hear it.
what I had in mind is kind of a planet-bound government type, and this is probably a planet that was settled far enough away so that they're pretty much on their own.
Okay.
And it is settled by a bunch of people that are motivated, and there's plenty of space, and they've got all kinds of things to do, and pretty independent group of people. And it was kind of under, they come into it with some values about fair play and how things ought to operate, and what developed over the generations was a clan system where you had, basically what I mean by clan system is household, family, clan, tribe, nation, planet, but the center of authority centers on clan. So, in the beginning, we're just talking about, family groups.
Right.
But then as they fan out, so the way it would work, each clan chief, the clan chief serves by consent of the family patriarchs, or in some cases matriarch. And and one of the things that happens when head of family dies, when the patriarch dies, the family splits. So the progeny, you don't have like one brother becoming head of the family. You have the brothers are the heads of their own families, which they had come up being the head of their own household. Households are expected to take care of themselves. If you got a rogue kid, the household makes restitution for whatever damage the idiot does.
Right.
And it's so what I'm, but anyway, it centers on clan, which is extended families essentially.
Yeah.
And then the clan chief or his representative will serve on the tribe council, and the tribe is just a collection of clans, and and then as the system got bigger, there were tribes making up the nation, but
right.
And there were different nations, and because it's gone for many generations now, but it is really clan centered. The tribe council is just representatives from the clan, and there are some things that they need to hash out between the clans.
Right.
And the idea of war is kind of unthinkable, but then as it got bigger, then you had nations, and they do have a war council that if somebody was attacked, they'd have to deal with it.
Right.
But essentially clan centered. That's what nation. There's no other. War, like I say, war is kind of unthinkable. These are people that are descendant from settler groups that had a lot of shared values, and it hasn't been long enough for those to be forgotten.
Right. Well, I'm kind of thinking, Reed, that maybe I'm trying to figure out how we can translate that into this world. I'm thinking that what if it's kind of there's like the near Earth planets that have been settled.
Yeah.
All kind of under the dictates of sort of a giant galactic federation sort of thing.
Yeah, like the East India Company or the Hudson Bay Trading Company or
yeah, and then like perilously far out from the farthest out from the centralized power, which I don't think is Earth anymore because it's been thousands of years.
Yeah.
But the farthest outreaches are considered absolute backwater.
Yeah.
Right? But if you go even farther out from them, there exists sort of the remnants of an even greater empire that no one really remembers.
Ooh.
Right? And that is predominantly, all those planets are predominantly under the grips of this clan-based system for each planet.
Right.
So none of them needing to ever, they don't need to rely on any other planet, where every other planet inside of the Galactic Federation is kind of forced to rely on each other.
Yeah.
It's like...
Because as they colonize another planet, they kind of cookie cut it and say, okay, we need this thing, so we're going to colonize this planet that's going to provide this, and that's like one big rice field. And this one is just going to be a 500-year mining operation, and then the planet's done. And then this, so it's...
Yeah. But that's not only a way to do it a way to introduce efficiency, but it's also a way to introduce and to keep control, because if all you have are rice fields, you can't, you're not self-sustaining. It's like the whole planet's been sterilized, you can't have...
It's like the concept of globalization is what colonized the stars for this kind of federation, where you didn't really need a lot of things. You just needed one thing that would be a kind of a link in the whole galactic chain.
You were just doing your part. All right? And it's kind of played up as this is the best way for this to work, because we don't want to like have the whole planet be just a mix of stuff, because then they might start getting separatist thoughts, and then everyone deals with, or the closer you get to the backwaters of this world, everyone deals with these kind of weird people who like the emphasis of their lives are kind of self-sustaining, people who don't have an in-depth geometric map of their entire planet, right? They have to like go exploring because they just have to. That's just kind of, they don't have that, they're not part of this system. Interesting. I kind of like the idea, Seth, of your idea, and then I feel like it works really well with this kind of cookie cutter system, because they like basically create power systems. Like on this planet with the chilies is like a dojo, and in that is a guy who's basically been absolutely refining the specific thing that chilies do for him, makes it so that he can hear. And his entire martial arts...
What color are the chilies? I think like the lower chakras, it starts with, I think, red is the bottom. Then it's like red, orange, yellow, green. Yeah. It's like the rainbow going up. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. So if it's like red chilies, then it would be probably like base.
Yeah, I don't know what root chakra is.
It's more associated with like passion, anger, other things.
Maybe he can control, maybe he can make people angry, or can take away anger or something. I don't know. I'm just saying. Just like these huge planets where everyone, not everyone, but people are kind of like sort of raised and bred from birth to manifest this really specific ability, I like this idea. I like this story. Do we want to add anything else, or do we want to call it quits and pick this up next week with 3 more story elements? I feel like this is a really good basis for sure.
Yeah, I think this is a good basis, and we could kind of pick it up next week with a few more filling things, get some characters in here,
Yeah, absolutely.
and see what they do.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Wait, It Gets Better. If you like this beginning starter episode, let me know. Send me an email at waititgetsbettercast@gmail.com or at me on Twitter at @getsbettercast. If you would like to hear more episodes like this, I would say just wait. It gets better.